It's time. The world is ready. We're ready. And femininity is truly awakening within everyone right now. So know that even if you're not a woman or you don't identify as a woman or you do or what you are, everyone has feminine energy and essence. And it is the healing, nourishing, vibrant life force essence that circulates within us all, that births creativity, ideas, inspiration. That is feminine energy and essence. And when we connect to that, we tap into a whole reservoir of
creation,
a new reality,
life, beauty,
yes, effortless flow,
bliss,
yes, joy, yes. So it is so important that we do start discussing topics like these, like what even is feminine energy? Because again, the examples out there in society, they're distorted. They're not correct. And with this information, with this knowledge, we become empowered in a whole new way into who we really are.
So one of the first ways that we can all connect to our feminine energy is by connecting to nature. We are nature. Nature is everything. It is all around us. And the more that we connect to the plants, the trees, the flowers, especially the elements, the water, the fire, the air, the earth, we naturally and organically connect to our feminine energy.
Yes, yeah, and the cycles, the seasons, like truly the essence of feminine energy, the flow of feminine energy, it's not this consistent, like repetitive, like same thing over and over again. You always get what you got before. Nature is about like newness, about death and rebirth, about change, exactly, and like adaptation. So connecting to the different cycles, seasons, and phases of nature, and also within yourself, honoring the phases of nature. And perhaps in fall, we talk about this all the time in our Sacred Sisters circles, where when fall and winter comes around, it's time for rest.
To slow down,
to rejuvenate. And then when spring comes around, we often feel like blossoming and trying new things. Yes, and rebirthing, yes.
And summer, this is when we're shining bright. We're going out, we're doing, we're in action mode. We are shining our light, we're launching our projects.
Yes.
The fruit is all ripe and juicy. The mother is in her prime birth, pregnancy, juicy belly.
And in connecting to nature, you also can connect to your body in order to connect to nature. Because our bodies are made of earth. We are compositions of the elements, of minerals, of all that earth is composed of. We too are composed of these things. So by connecting to nature, you connect more to your own body, to your own being. And again, honoring the different phases and cycles, you start to develop a sense of intuition, a communication, and a connection with not only your own body, but with nature itself.
Earth, our body, we are literally made of the earth and the stars, as above, so below. Connecting to your body through movement, through dance, through music, through the senses, through listening to songs, through listening to the birds, singing in the trees, and how that feels in your body, and what you feel called to create from that, from watching the trees, from watching the flowers bloom. How does it feel in your body, in your heart? And that really is the key, is that nature connects us to our hearts.
Yes.
Nature connects us to ourselves.
Which is the feminine energy and frequency, is the open-heartedness, like nourishing, loving connection in essence. And it really is like a certain vibration and frequency. Like you can feel loving, nurturing, feminine energy when it is present. And you can feel that through nature as well. So even connecting to nature and the movement of nature, also connecting to the rhythm, the frequencies, the formulas of nature. So as Davana mentioned, like the butterflies, the birds, the movement in which they move, connecting to the rhythm, the unseen rhythm in nature that is always present. That communication, that conversation that is occurring beyond words, beyond actions of doing, but is always present and is actually igniting at the very core of everything, the life force of everything. That is what you can tune into through rhythm, through movement, through the subtle expressions of nature.
Through presence. Presence brings us back to what is. And so when we're watching the birds, the butterflies, the animals, we are in presence.
Yes.
And in that softening, in that listening of the animals, we're able to drop into our hearts. We're able to
open our hearts
to receive the gift from them. Why is this animal showing up on your path? What is this bluebird? What is this crow in your tree here to show you? What is this messenger here for? The native people, the indigenous peoples of these lands have known from the beginning of time that the animals are our guides, our allies.
Always speaking to us.
Always speaking to us. And we learn so much from watching the animals, from watching the plants.
And truly, even if you don't believe in these types of things, like, oh, not everything's a message, or like, I don't have, like, it's just a bird, that's all it, like, yes, but also there is actually a reason, a purpose, and a message in everything. Everything is medicine. Like, as we know, there are no coincidences. Everything is divinely placed. So if you take a moment to pause, to slow down, and to be present, and simply to even just acknowledge the bird then, the song that it's singing. Maybe you don't receive the message and just pause for a moment.
And feel.
And
breathe.
Yes. That's also the feminine essence and energy. And I feel like that's so important to mention too, where it's like, often we do seek to know, to see, but that is actually very masculine too, where it's like just being present, just receiving, just opening your heart, allowing yourself to receive through your senses. That is feminine essence and energy, and that is the message. That is the medicine, is that presence. And so connecting to your senses is another way to activate your feminine essence and energy and connect more to your femininity through taste, through smell, through sound. So as Davana mentioned, listening to certain things, music that makes you feel more feminine, perhaps encourages you to slow down or to feel more, to be more present in your body. Tasting the fruits, the juiciness, the succulence, earth's candy, receiving the gifts from taste.
Or maybe it's a song that lights your fire, because that is another aspect of the feminine. It isn't all sweet and slow and nice. The feminine energy also carries that frequency of power, of strength. Look at nature, look at the storms, look at the thunderstorms and the hurricanes and the tornadoes.
And the necessity to rebirth, because truly, like, rebirth doesn't come unless there is death. There needs to be some form of destruction, some form of disaster, chaos, temporarily, in order for order to come. And so yes, thank you for mentioning that, because it's such a thing where it's like feminine energy isn't just like the gentle slowness. It is a lot of that. And even sometimes rage and fire is also slow burning and also gentle. Perhaps it's a warming of the fire. Sometimes it needs to burn everything down. So know that that's also feminine energy. So connecting to that too, like maybe you need to drink some like fiery elixir, and that's going to connect you to your feminine energy and essence within you. Or maybe it is an herbal tea of flowers that will help you to feel more soft and more nurturing.
And speaking of the flowers, even just working with the flowers alone is such a beautiful, potent way to connect to your divine feminine energy. And noticing what flowers you continue to see on your path when you're out walking, when you're driving. Do you keep seeing the same flower? That could be a message for you to maybe start working with this plant, to start working with this plant in the form of flower essence, in a tea, in a tincture, sitting next to the flower in a meditation, and just listening and receiving the wisdom from this plant.
Sitting next to a flower, I love that, because I'm sitting next to a flower right now.
I'm sitting next to a flower.
We're both sitting next to flowers, because Davana is a flower.
And like, Heather is a flower.
Heather is a flower. Like, we were named after flowers. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
And I have worked with quite a few women actually who will send me messages telling me that they are allergic to flowers. And the first thing I ask them is, what is your connection to your feminine energy.
Wow.
And usually they'll end up telling me I'm very disconnected, or my mother transitioned. My mother left this earth when I was 3 years old, and they've been really cut off from that feminine part of themselves. And usually what happens was when they start to heal that part of them and connect to their feminine energy, they will no longer be allergic to this plant, to this flower.
Yep, it really works like that. It truly does. Like, our resonance and relationship with everything starts on an energetic basis. The energy that you have in connection with something may actually be the result or the response of something else that seems completely not connected at all. So tuning into this too, tapping into your intuition is another way to connect to your femininity. And not only tapping into your intuition, but listening to it.
Trusting it. Again and again until you build that power.
Yes.
Build that strength of your intuition.
And following it. And that's how you build your intuition. That's how you strengthen your intuition. Listen to it. And the more that you honor it, yes, and trust your gut, the more it will strengthen. The louder that voice will become, and the clearer that voice will become. And you'll be able to decipher between, oh, is this my intuition or is this my ego? Is this my fear? Yes. Because that's also a thing too, but it feels really different. Intuition feels very different, and it resonates, and you feel it in your heart when it's intuition. Ego, you will often feel like in the outside parts of your chest or like the top of your head. And often if it's not your intuition, if it's fear, then it won't feel good in your body. It will resonate in an uncomfortable way if it's not intuition. So know that if it resonates, if you feel it in your heart or you feel it in your body, follow it. Trust it.
The body doesn't lie.
Yes.
That is the way of the feminine, moving back and down into our bodies, into our wombs, down into the yoni. When we give birth, the energy moves down. When we are on our menstrual cycle, when we're bleeding, the energy moves down. The energy of the masculine is rising up into the mind,
like
up into the head, that ascension. The energy of the feminine is the descension, down into the roots, into the soil of the earth.
And just like yin and yang too, with the masculine being the lighter energy, feminine energy often is represented by darkness. And that is also the beauty of it, because the darkness is what is inside of the womb, the infinite void, the cosmos, the darkness with all of the stars lighting the sky. That is feminine energy. That's where we come from, is that darkness, that void. So it doesn't mean something bad or evil or scary or anything like that.
That is what has been distorted really on this planet, is being fearful of the dark and being afraid of the unknown.
Because there is power in the mystery and the unknown, and claiming that and not fearing that, that's where you discover who you truly are and what your power truly is. So yeah, we've been made to believe that the darkness or the feminine or that is weak and distorted and evil and bad, but we clearing that shit.
We clearing it.
And so in connecting to the feminine frequency, as we mentioned, it's about slowing down and being present and really tuning into your own pace. Because again, by following your intuition, you will know if the feminine energy for you is to be more slow, more calm, more present, more dainty or delicate or gentle, soft. Or maybe your pace is to be enraged and to allow for your fire, your darkness, your intensity to unleash in this raw and wild, truthful, authentic way, because that is also feminine. That is also feminine.
But in that pause, like we mentioned,
Yes.
that sacred pause, that winter time, that void, when we're bleeding, is when we rest. We go into the dream time, the wisdom of the crone archetype. That is when we go and receive the wisdom from the cosmic void, from the dream time realm, where we get the messages, the codes to bring through what we are here to birth in the springtime.
Yes, that's where we receive the information, and also where we figure out what really resonates.
What do we letting go of?
Yes.
What isn't working anymore?
Yes. What is for us now and what has expired? What can we be grateful for and send on its journey so that we can move forward? And with that, finding out like what really resonates, what is meant for me now, you tap into and tune into your own pleasure. And I feel like this is like one of the biggest themes of feminine energy and the frequency of femininity is your pleasure.
And I see so much out there, it's usually coming from males, about like demonizing pleasure. That pleasure is bad, it's sin, it's human, we need to be more in the spirit.
Where actually pleasure is spiritual, because when you are in pleasure and you surrender your ego, your mind, all of these idea constructs, and instead are just in the presence of feeling and what actually is, that is spirit.
Why would God give us an orgasm?
Right. It's actually so that we continue to procreate, and we feel called to have sex so that we continue to procreate, because that's part of what's necessary for our species to continue here on planet Earth. So it's like, it's an incentive. It's part of our makeup. How we were created is through pleasure. And truly, like I always say this, in the higher realms, like once we ascend, like when we are in soul form before we come to this, we don't have the same luxury of pleasure, of feeling the good and the bad. So truly, like any form of feeling even pain is a luxury. And that is a feminine essence and energy, to allow yourself to trust everything yourself so much that you actually give yourself permission to feel. To actually feel. And it feels so good. It feels so good to feel.
So good to feel. Some people really are cut off from feeling, and that's part of the work, is feeling again, feeling it all. And the other thing to mention is that pleasure doesn't always mean and equate with sexuality and with sex, right? So in what ways can you invite pleasure into your life that isn't sexual? You can find pleasure in the mundane tasks. You can find pleasure in washing your dishes at the sink and feeling how the soap and the water feels on your hands, how the shiny plate feels, how the sponge feels. You can find and drop into moments of pleasure throughout your day, eating an orange and feeling the juiciness drip down your chin, playing with your cat, laying in bed and giggling with your children.
And I find that truly, unless you do those things and like actually give yourself time and space to receive the pleasure in all of these little simple things, if you don't do that, at the end of the day, you're always going to feel unsatisfied. Nothing will ever be enough. It doesn't matter what you do, what you achieve, what you see, what you buy, what you eat, whatever it is. If you don't allow yourself to receive the simplicity of pleasure, in which is in presence of every moment, everywhere, always, then truly your soul will always be seeking.
It'll be insatiable.
It'll be insatiable.
You're not soaking in and embracing and eating up the
consuming, the divinity, the essence, the satisfaction of everything, of the mundane. And I find too, like, I always love doing the random little things, like doing dishes and doing things, because it actually feels good when I'm present with it. It is actually so satisfying and pleasurable in a way where it's like, it sounds kind of ridiculous to think like doing the dishes is gonna pleasure you. Like there may be something wrong with that. It's a little questionable or concerning. But truly, like if you allow yourself to be present, and it's like, oh, it's like Tetris filling up the dishwasher, or like it feels so good to have everything clean now. What an achievement. That's how you can find pleasure in the random little things, or even just driving, or like have fun with it. Like
Make
how
it a
much
meditation.
How much fun and like how meditative can the experience be for you?
And in that, inviting in more pleasure into our lives, we invite in more play, more joy, more bliss, which is a beautiful aspect of the divine feminine, connecting to our inner child, that innocence, that purity that we all are.
And truly that is the feminine energy, is to be in a receptive mode, an open-hearted mode, through joy, through bliss, through pleasure, by allowing yourself to experience those things. So maybe it is you do something that your inner child loved to do when you were younger. Maybe that taps you into the joy, the bliss frequency. Once you are in that, naturally your heart opens, and that puts you into a feminine frequency and energy through simply just having fun.
Back to the heart again and again. It all comes back to the heart.
Always
just like our breasts. Our breasts are connected to our heart.
Yes, our breasts are extensions of our heart chakra. And just so you know, like I don't have huge boobs. Just if you don't have huge boobs or you don't have boobs at all, you still have an amplified heart chakra. It actually has nothing to do with it. It's more so just the energy, the energetic space of this area. This is our essence. And like your nipples, like even connecting to your nipples, I feel like we should add that. We should do a whole video on like physical ways to connect to your feminine essence and energy that are not sexual, but breast massages and even just like tuning into the sensitivity of your nipples and like loving them, connecting to them again, seeing what does pleasure you, what movement, what feels good. And even not for pleasure, but just to honor this temple, this gift of the goddess that you were temporarily housing. This is a gift you only have for some time. So please honor it. Please enjoy it. Explore it. Like, who are you? What were you gifted this life? Like, own it.
And then bringing that down to the womb and massaging your womb with some nice oils connecting to your womb, which we love to do. And all of our circles drop into the womb space, receive the messages from our womb. We'll do more videos on all of that. We love. And the womb to heart connection, the heart to womb connection, that infinity loop.
Connecting to that.
So these are just some ideas, some ways. Of course, there are so many more. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but these are all beautiful ways you can connect to, honor, embrace your feminine energy.
And I'm curious too, how do you connect to your feminine energy? And are you someone who has naturally felt more feminine all of your life? Or maybe you felt more masculine? For me personally, I have been much more connected to and embodied in my masculine energy growing up. And it's really only been more recently that I've connected to my feminine energy. And I have seen the true power in it. Where I used to think that feminine energy was weak. And in order to be strong and powerful, you had to be masculine. But that's not true. So we would love to hear from you. What are some practices that you enjoy?
What has your journey been like connecting with your femininity, with your feminine energy?
So share with us in the comments, and we look forward to seeing you in another video. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Sending you love and blessings always.